schools, I guess, came around in 16, 17, 1800s, right? And
Nah.
but not schools like we have today. Yeah, but like people weren't going to school when they were children.
Boop.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And then when did a school get a marching band? Had to happen after that.
Marching bands were a big thing in the 1800s.
I know they were, but were they associated with schools?
All right. Yeah.
Yes, but when were they associated with schools? When did schools all have their own marching bands?
I could find that out because I don't actually know.
Right. And then at some point after that, those bands decided to have camps to practice in the summer. Right? Or whatever. In addition to their,
We had a lot. I got a lot to say about that aspect of this.
So it's
That's
not an old thing is the point, but it's old enough that it's like a tradition. It's decades old, at least.
All right. Let's see. Oh, there's already a bunch of people watching. Cool.
One sad person.
Well,
you sure it's not counting you?
Yes, because they did 4 people. All right.
People, go eat dinner or something.
How do you know they're not eating dinner while they watch?
Watch.
Whoop.
What is there to watch? Watch Twitch or something right now. Go watch someone stream Slay the Spire or
Whoop. Okay.
Into the Breach or Hearthstone or 1 Hour, 1 Life. You got 4 games you could watch someone stream right now. Maybe there's an Overwatch League game right now you can watch.
I've been watching some of those games. They're pretty good. But again, I literally don't care who wins. I'm basically just watching for like an interesting thing to happen in the match. I literally don't care who wins at any point.
It's weird because just because it says New York,
you feel a little
but I also don't like if they lose. It's like we don't know shit.
Yep.
I
said,
it's like I don't really feel it. It's just my brain is like, New York should win.
That's how I felt watching Red Wings Rangers. It was very like I cheered when I both went yeah and every time anyone scored, and it was weird.
I mean, I don't even. I feel like since the games don't matter anymore now, it's like I don't care who we win or lose, right? Before I'd be like, oh, we lost. Oh, we lost. Oh, well, we lost too many now. It doesn't matter. And now I don't care if we win or lose. I actually want us to lose. You got to tank it up.
Yeah. Roll, tanks, roll. All right.
Fallen for Dallin is what they say.
All right.
All the kings of Sweden come to New York.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, let's go. It's Thursday, March 1st, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, camp of the summer and band variety.
Isn't band camp also in the summer?
Yeah, but band camp... Would you say that summer camp and band camp are the same thing? Not only are they different
have many
things...
similarities.
Very few, though. And also, they have separate Wikipedia pages. All right.
Band camp's also a lot shorter.
That depends.
You got an 8-week band camp?
We had 2 weeks of away band camp and all summer, every night, like home band camp.
That's not camp. It's a night activity.
Okay, I think we're good. All right, let's see. Do I have an opening bit?
I want to get home before it rains.
Okay. Whoop, whoop. Do you have an opening bit? I got one I can do. I got one if you don't.
I did, but then I did it when I was thinking of news, and I just forgot.
All right, I think I got one.
What was it?
So as you know, because I talk about it a lot, one of my main hobbies is skiing. And the ski season kind of...
Also known as almost dying.
Yeah, Scott, I still posit to you that what actually causes more serious injuries and deaths? Skiing or biking?
There's a lot more biking going on.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm saying even per capita. Skiing's pretty safe.
If you had everyone in the world ski and then everyone in the world bike...
With equivalent levels of skill. I mean, skiing is a high skill thing. Most people who do it become reasonably skilled or they don't do it.
Look how much biking goes on around the world.
Yes. How many people die biking in New York City on an annual basis?
Less than 20.
Yeah, how many people die skiing at Hunter Mountain on an annual basis?
That's one mountain.
Yeah. That mountain's where all the New Yorkers go. There's a ton of people there.
It's not.
So as best I can tell, there have been, I think, 4 deaths there in the last several years.
That's a lot for such a small number of people.
But compared to how many runs they do, and also, so I looked into those. I was looking up some stats today for research for Emily. of those 4 deaths in the last several years, one of them was a lady who just fell off the ski lift, like basically just fell off a building to the ground.
Go. Ski lifts are dangerous. Don't get on them.
No, they're not dangerous. It's actually a mystery how she fell off. Because you can't fall off a ski lift unless you want to fall off a ski lift, or you make a really, really ridiculous and terrible mistake.
A lot of them seem really precarious, except for the kind where it's like just a sky car that's like a ball.
That's called a gondola.
Yeah,
they have those at
those are
Loon.
safe. Those are safe, but the ones that's just like a bench that comes up behind you, they could just like knock you over.
Well, if it knocks you over, that's not going to kill you. It's just funny.
You could also get onto it and then just like lean forward and fall off. It's not like it's got a seatbelt.
There's a bar that comes down in front of you, just like on a roller coaster.
But at the bar, like it's like that doesn't seem a moving.
You
bench,
reach up and you pull the bar down. It's not hard.
A moving bench that doesn't.
No,
stop
Scott.
moving.
All right. Here's rim skiing aside. You want to talk about the things that are dangerous in skiing that are funny?
And that thing I'm pointing out is that the lift is the least dangerous thing there, and it's still a death trap. The least dangerous part is still a death trap.
People are afraid of the lifts, but yet there are 3 other kinds of things that will take you up the mountain.
Tree. Oh, a rope that moves?
Yeah, the
moving rope.
The funniest thing is the things I'm about to describe to you tend to only be used on beginner hills, yet they are also the most dangerous and hardest to use.
Yeah, the moving rope.
It's called a tow rope. It's literally just a rope
that's just spinning around.
Spinning at high speed, and
like
you ski up to it.
2 pulleys and a rope.
And here's how it works.
You grab the rope and
you grab the rope, and it just goes through your hands, and you don't move at all.
And it burns your hands.
It burns your hands.
You have to grab it real tight.
And then you try to hold on to it real tight till eventually...
Does it have knots in it to help you?
No.
I thought it has knots.
No, fuck you. Okay. The tow rope sucks.
Okay.
Worse than the tow rope is something called a magic carpet.
What?
It's a conveyor belt. Ski onto it and just whoa, and you're just on it.
That seems like it'll just kill you when you fall down.
Well, because those
and then you'll bump into everyone behind you.
So those are only used in 2 circumstances. One, you're basically on this uphill conveyor belt.
It seems like it'd be okay for going flat, but going up?
They go up, but they go up like the bunny hill that kids learn to ski on. That's only like 30 feet.
I guess you have to face sideways that you get.
Nope, straight up.
Wouldn't you start sliding backwards?
No, it's like rubber.
Okay.
Your ski's not going to slide on that.
It's got snow on it.
No, it doesn't.
The snow.
No, it's not always snowing 24/7 in the mountains.
Well, I guess you can't use it when it is snowing. It's slippery.
You can because it's moving and the snow will melt on it. Anyway,
it's a slippery piece of rubber is wet.
Skis don't move. The reason skis move on snow is because they have a special material on the bottom filled with wax, and the pressure of it on the snow actually melts this very thin layer of water due to pressure, and that's what allows you to ski. If you can't make that happen, your ski just sits there. Anyway, the magic carpet is a nightmare machine that traumatizes children.
Yes. Obviously. I don't even need to see it to know that.
There is a hybrid thing where there'll be a magic carpet.
With a rope?
No, that leads to a faster magic carpet. That magic carpet is moving at the same speed as a ski lift that doesn't slow down, and it basically just swings in. And
so there's a slow magic carpet because you couldn't possibly start moving on the fast one.
It takes you to a fast one.
It just pushes you onto a fast one.
And then the fast one is moving at the same speed of a ski lift chair that doesn't slow down.
Not going anywhere near that.
Yeah, those fucking suck. As a skiing,
why not put a rope next to it like an escalator has a handle that moves next to it?
Because people will just mess that. That's not a good idea.
And move it at the same speed as the carpet.
But there's something else called a T-bar. Imagine like a flying trapeze that you just gotta fucking grab and hold on to for dear life.
You mean a death trap?
Yeah, those things are the worst.
Grab on to get to the top, let go.
The last time I used a tow rope was at Pine Knob in Michigan when I was a kid, and the last time I used a T-bar was once at Loon Mountain.
That can't be legal.
Or no, was it Loon or
it has to be phased out, right?
It was Brettonwood. No, they exist. They exist for morons in places that I don't want to go. Anyway, the ski season just ended abruptly because it's like 60 degrees right now here in New York.
It's like 50 something.
It's 57 according to my phone.
It's cold.
57 is not cold.
It's 54 according to my iPad.
You're just old.
And it's cold.
It got real warm, like crazy warm, and there's
not crazy warm.
For February. I guess it's March now.
It's slightly less cold.
It was warmer than this like 2 weeks ago. That was weirder.
It's one coat less cold. It still need a coat and hat.
Someone in the chat pointed out the J bar. I ain't even fucking talking. J bar. There are other bars that are even worse than the T bar. Bar is basically mechanism to hurt people who think they want to ski. I feel like there's just a trap to reduce the number of people skiing.
You should be better. You know how to stay safe? Be a person like me who knows they don't want to ski.
So I went on that ski trip in New Hampshire, and then suddenly it was late spring and everything melted like everywhere in the Northeast. So I thought my ski season was over. I got a notification because there's this giant storm bearing down on the East Coast right now. In New York and Massachusetts, it's going to be torrential rain. Up at Hunter Mountain, it's going to be like 2 feet of snow. So I'm skiing on Saturday. I'm getting like one more day on real snow. It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I got. That was my opening bit because you forgot what yours was.
I remembered what my opening bit
was.
was.
It something good?
No.
Nah? Okay, let's get right to the news. So what do you got?
What was my news? Oh, so it's not super newsy, and actually it's this great article that has somehow been locked by a password, but I got an archived version of it. And this person did a statistical sampling of Apple Map versus Google Map versus Waze to figure out which one was the best. It wasn't like some enormous sample covering a large amount of terrain and a large amount of uses, but it was pretty significantly, maybe not statistically significant, but it's like one person did all their trips, switching up between the three and measuring them all based on various things. And basically the conclusion they came to matches up with my anecdotal experience, so I'm inclined to believe it. And the TLDR is, if you want to get to your destination most quickly, use Google Maps. If you want an accurate prediction from your navigation app to help you arrive on time, use Apple Map. And if thinking you'll get to your destination quickly helps to ease your commuter anxiety, use Waze, which tells you you're going to get there sooner than you're actually going to get there.
Does Waze even still exist? Because isn't that data just in Google Maps now?
Right, so so a lot of people I know are like, oh my God, Waze is so much better because it gives you this info about things.
But Google gives me the same info.
Well, no, it gives you info about additional things. Like it'll tell you if there's a speed trap. Or
I don't care about that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like it gives you this extra detailed info about stuff that is kind of not necessary. Google just constantly tells you which way to go, and that's all you need to know.
Well, no, what Google also tells you, some of the Waze info they included was things like, it gives you the ETA when you'll arrive based on current conditions on your entire route. Mm-hmm. It warns you about issues, and whenever there is an alternate route, it shows it and gives you the option of switching to it and tells you what it'll do to your ETA.
Yep.
And I have found, because I'm basically the driver for the crew when we go to places now, because I rent the car, because none of us own cars, we live in the city. And I have found that over the last couple of years, Google directions at least, have been like shockingly accurate down to the minute I'll arrive at a place. And every time they tell me to go away that my knowledge of driving in New York City tells me is wrong, like for example, heading north, like going up to Albany or something, very often it'll say, yeah, go into Manhattan. Go across Manhattan to New Jersey and then go north. I used to balk at that. Now I just trust it, and it has never steered me wrong.
Whatever weird road Google Maps says to go on, I just do it without question, and it's always right, and it always gets me where I need to go.
Yep,
perfectly.
as much as my
and every time that happens, I remember the days of the mid-2000s when we would use MapQuest and print it out.
Yep.
Because we didn't have smartphones.
And one of us, if I was driving, Scott was sitting next to me, literally like telling me where to go.
Google Maps came out, and it wasn't as good as MapQuest. It was garbage for directions.
Yep.
And we kept using MapQuest until eventually Google Maps became good sometime around like the iPhone time. I think the smartphones really gave them the data they needed to not suck.
Because you guys, you don't understand, if you're young, what it was like to drive driving to Otakon before smartphones.
I mean, there was MapQuest, at the 2000s. Imagine trying to drive somewhere that you've never been before and like 1988.
You go to AAA and you got a triptych, which was basically manual MapQuest.
They printed out a custom map just for you.
It was a book.
Member.
It was a literal flip book
of paper, and you would flip it page by page, and you would highlight where you've been so far based on you look at you look outside, you see what road you just passed, you know how far to highlight. And you turn the page as you go, and once you finish the whole book and you've highlighted the whole road, you've reached your destination.
So to give you an example of what this was like, when Scott and I and many of our friends used to drive to like Otakon.
And the book was a narrow vertical book. If you went off course at all, you needed to pull out a big map. And
the road atlas that you kept in your car in case you fucked up.
Figure out where the fuck you were.
Yep.
Or ask for directions from a human being
So-
on the road. Or buy a map at a gas station.
I have so many. God, we could probably do a Thursday show on road trips. Just like, I remember situations where I'd be driving and I'm like, Scott, we're going to run out of gas in like 20 miles.
Back in my day, I walked 15 miles in the snow.
The simple question of, is there a way to get gas before we run out of gas was an existential question. And then the follow-up question of, we got gas, where the fuck are we and how do we get back on the freeway that'll take us to Baltimore? Oh my God. The idea that
We were on the way home from Baltimore.
That was the one where I turned off the AC because I was worried we were going to run out of gas. And
it was on E. We got off to go to a gas station.
It was closed.
The guy was in the gas station but waved us away. We got back on the highway and got somehow miraculously to the next gas station while still on E.
We were at that point where the car was literally running on fumes. Like if I had turned
on E, it said E.
If I had turned the engine off,
I think I was driving.
We were taking turns. I forget. All I know is if we had turned the engine off, I'm not confident we could have restarted the engine.
Nope.
Because when we refilled the tank, because I know that car held 14 gallons of gas, we put in like 13.8 gallons. Like
we filled it up all the way. Then we were just fine.
So, if you haven't noticed, that my news is sort of a minor call to action, but politics is kind of fucked up in the U.S. right now. So if you don't live in the U.S., this really doesn't apply to you, but a common problem,
apparently, even if you don't live in the U.S., you can still influence our politics with your money, so please send it.
Oh, yeah. If you want to do the reverse Russia, like, help us out.
Apparently, it's okay these days.
But anyway, the specific thing I want to talk about is that, especially if you're a, like, urban living nerd, a lot of the people listen to Geek Nights, a lot of our friends, like us in particular, as invested as we are in politics, literally every election I can vote in is a landslide for the best possible outcome already.
Yep.
Like if I call my senator, like I called my...
Actually, look, all my representatives at every level, all right, except for president, are Democrats of awesomeness. And I went and I checked. I'm like, are any of them like the not good kind? Because there are some.
Yep.
And like, nope, they're all like, if there was votes for like universal health care, they would vote yes tomorrow.
Yep, like my state senator.
Every single one of them, even my city council person. So it's like there's no point in getting involved in my local anything.
I called my state senator to be like, yeah, New York State universal health care. And the response I got was, I fucking co-sponsored that. That's my bill.
Yeah.
So yes, I am for it. So if you are one of those people who feels like you live in a place where you can't influence things, a good friend of ours is trying to change that, and I've been talking to him a bit, and I want to point you at some ways.
Somehow we can influence elections in other parts of the United States?
So,
how can we do this?
So, in particular, I'll give you a very specific example. Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I
know people who live there.
Yeah, but I know a bunch of people who live there. We know someone who moved there specifically to try to organize political activism in Texas because while Texas seems to be a very red, for non-USians, red means bad state in the U.S.
But the thing is, even in places like the big cities like Dallas, San Antonio, Houston,
all blue.
Cities are still not places that are red.
Yeah, but the state is
Texas,
red.
Yes.
So the interesting thing is that Texas actually could very easily flip much more Democrat in the United States.
Sure.
Because voter turnout in most of Texas is actually really low.
That's true.
And the elections are closer than a lot of you realize.
That's very true.
The idea is that if you are not the kind of person who just has money, because if you have money, you can literally just like send money to Texas Democrats. Mm-hmm. But most of you can't do that.
Nope.
And also, I would argue that if you don't have a lot of money, that is not how you should be spending your money.
Spend it on food.
Yeah. So
Computers.
If you feel strongly about politics in the U.S. and you want to try to make a difference, I'm going to link to you to a bunch of websites that are trying to organize people like that. People who live in blue states, live in cities, don't have money to donate, but have time to donate.
Do you have to go to Texas?
No. You can do. These are sites that are legit. Like I checked these out. That will. If you want to donate your time instead of your money to help do things like let this dude beat Ted Cruz so he's just out of government and fucked, it's achievable.
So what do? Do you like call people in Texas on the phone?
Yeah, so
them to vote?
basically you can set up your time and you can do like all the phone calls and data entry and all the work that needs to be done to try to help the Democrats win these elections in this red state, even if you don't live there, and without having to donate money, because again...
Scott's evil hacker brain immediately says, go sign up for this and do a bad job. Scott's evil hacker brain also says, go sign up for the opponent's system doing the same thing and do a bad job on purpose.
That may be true. That may be possible, but... This kind of activism, sort of my broader point, and I'm going to talk about this more in future episodes, is that in general in the U.S., most people think that if they can't donate a lot of money, they can't do anything. And so few people actually do this kind of work that the idea of gaming this system doesn't seem to really exist.
Yet.
Like, if 10 Geek Nights listeners sign up for this...
Hello, is this Rimhouse? Please vote for... Vlad.
For Georgie, Cobrastan is best. Cobrastan forever. I love Georgie.
I'm calling from local party in New York. Please vote.
Zebra AI, see through anything. So anyway, I'm going to link you to a bunch of these things. If you care about this stuff,
please vote.
And if you want to try to influence politics, doing stuff like this has way more impact than the piddly amount of money you could part with.
We should call Russians. Hello, is this Comrade George? Please vote against Putin in the next election.
Yep. But specifically...
I am not American.
Texas. You in your blue city can do things, and some of the things they need are things like help translate things from English to Spanish, answer emails, help with social media, shoot and edit video. Like, if you want to make campaign ads for them, they will hook you up with the things you need to do that. This is the kind of stuff that nerds can fucking do if they don't have money.
If you're someone who's making funny YouTube videos, you can make funny campaign ads.
Yeah, like they'll hook you up with someone. Like if they need a video shot, like they'll hook you up with the things.
It's not hard to make fun of bad politicians that they're running against.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the
you can rip their assholes open real easily with your internet comedy skills.
And if you feel like this you feel like this is a Sisyphean task, the dude who's trying to kick Ted Cruz, who is an evil shithead in the U.S., out of the government. He's neck and neck in the polls in Texas. Like, this is possible. So that is my news.
Your funny video is going to tip the scale.
I mean, the elections were so close in a lot of these districts that something like that literally could. And you know that we are the opposite of optimists, shall we say, Scott and I. We might be referred to as cynical. I'm pretty invested in this actually being possible. And that is my
funny video is gonna do it.
I think it could.
But I hope that motivates you to make the funny video anyway, so I can laugh at it.
But check these things out. This is the kind of stuff you can do that isn't just
you should
money.
be all saying, "I'll show you, Scott." And it's like, yeah, show me. Go ahead.
All right. But anyway, things of the day. So I have a specific moratorium for myself. I will never, much like the old Jack Thompson thing, my thing of the day will never be related to steamed hams ever again unless a steamed hams thing occurs that is so transcendentally better than anything that has ever come before, which I feel like is impossible. However, I found a steamed hams that was one of those technical memes, and it was something like every time someone says the word ham, generation loss occurs. And I realized that a lot of modern nerds have no idea what the word generation loss means, or the term generation loss. Generation loss is a concept from the analog days where if you have an analog thing and you make a copy of it, it will introduce defects, artifacts. If you keep making copies of copies, that's what happens when your 4th generation copy of the key to your dorm room doesn't work anymore, or the VHS tape that was a 7th generation of a fan sub is literally unwatchable, or the literal entire plot of the movie Multiplicity. This video will explain to you in detail with examples what generation loss in the analog world was, as it takes you through a VHS tape that is copied again and again and again, and it goes into some detail of the kinds of things that occur. I can say that I have literally watched entire movies that were 4th generation lost copies. I've watched movies at that level of quality. Once you get to about Generation 18, that's what the porn channels looked like if you had cable in an era that is also bygone.
Also, it shows you people in those days really, underestimated the quality that these media could exhibit because they rarely had first generation stuff.
Yeah,
first generation VHS is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, in fact, it is better than digital video was until like 2004.
But I forget what my thing today was.
But the only other point I got is that this is analog and this is fascinating, and you should watch this video to the end. It's only like 7 minutes long. It's just really well done. The same thing happens with lossy digital media. Take a JPEG, rotate it 90 degrees 100 times, and your JPEG's fucked. So your thing of the day was the song you made.
All right. So Google, it was a while ago, Google had like a Google Doodle that let you sort of like be a DJ. And it was pretty cool. They've had a lot of actually Google Doodles that involve music creation, right? Where you could have a simple and limited interface and make music with it. But today they actually released a site. What's the name of the site?
Songmaker?
Songmaker.google or whatever?
musiclab.chromexperiments.com/songmaker.
Right.
Dvorak.org/blog.
So it's basically like a Mario Paint kind of situation, and it was pretty easy, and you can make a song with it, and I made a song that wasn't unlistenable. Yeah,
it's interesting as as someone who studied music formally for at this point, because it's been so long, not much of my life, but not a majority of my life at this point. Your music is indeed listenable, but also by the technical definition, naive
and uninteresting.
Naive in the sense that I can clearly see what you were going for, but because you lack the knowledge of chord structure or knowledge of melodic structure, it's interesting to see the choices you made.
Or I just did something really quick with not much effort.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's you're right. It's not unlistenable. You did okay.
Anyway, but the point is you can use this to you can make a lot of music with it and combine it together. You can even use your microphone to get some samples in there. And you can save and share links to the music with other people, and then they can load up the little music that you made and such and such. And that makes it pretty cool. I think it's weird. It's it's so simple, even almost less than Mario Paint, actually. But yet, you could definitely get real stuff done with this.
You know what?
And actually, it sounds pretty good. The audio...
Total ad hoc contest. I'll make a forum thread for this.
There doesn't sound bad.
I'll make a forum thread, and we'll do a mini contest over the next month or so. Whoever makes the best song in here, judge entirely.
No. Here's how we should do it.
All right.
If your song is better than mine, you win, so almost everyone's a winner. And if your song is worse than mine, shame. So almost no one should have shame.
All right, man.
Mine should be the second worst.
But I'll make a forum thread specifically for this. I think we can have some fun in the forum with it. In the meta moment, you should join the GeekNights forum. It's pretty fucking awesome in there. We talk. There's a lot of people. There is too much activity in that forum. It's I'm still shocked at how many people use our forum. You should use it too.
They got nothing better to do.
Community.frontrowcrew.com.
It's worth your time more than listening to Geek Nights. A lot of people go to that forum and don't listen to Geek Nights. They're smart.
Yeah, actually, I think the majority of the people in there don't listen to Geek Nights.
Smart people.
In the rest of the meta moment, the Geek Nights book club, I'm going to update this today or tomorrow because we did read the 5th season. It's done. You can listen to the episode. We have a Geek Nights book club. You should read those books. We've done a ton of books over the last 13 years.
Even though we're really slow to do each one, somehow they've added up.
I am rapidly burning through Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey, which is the current book club book.
Oh no, I'm reading some Spider-Man comics.
Because this translation is really good. If you have never
I started it, but then I read comics instead. No.
If you've never read the Odyssey, you'll get into it just like you would a novel, I think, just the way it's translated. And if you read the Odyssey in high school and you kind of vaguely remember what happened, probably because of the way it was written, it was kind of obtuse. This translation, it's very much like Athena's dragging this kid around, making him do stuff, and the humor and the jokes and the references, and it feels like a more natural narrative. And if you had trouble enjoying it in high school, I feel like you may actually find enjoyment in it reading this translation. I'm very impressed so far. But a tiny aside, if you're going to read the Odyssey in our book club, read the introduction It's long. You should read it. If you don't read the introduction,
that's all I read so far.
You're doing yourself a grave disservice because the introduction is fascinating and very informative and very interesting.
In a shockingly short period of time from now, it will be PAX East 2018.
Oh my God.
It is a 4-day PAX, the first 4-day East PAX. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday sold out, but Friday and Saturday are sold out.
Thursday and Sunday are not sold out, which is fascinating.
You can just go on Thursday or Sunday if you are anywhere near Boston.
If you want to do an expanding brain meme, Friday and Saturday being sold out is the baby's first, because actually Thursday and Sunday, the first day and the last day of any given PAX, are the most powerful days.
Yep.
The first day of PAX has keynote, Q&A, and it's a full day that goes till midnight. And the last day...
apparently won't be very crowded, and it's still a full PAX, as full as all the other days.
Yeah, like getting the expo hall.
There's no content difference between Thursday and Friday and Saturday at PAX, other than what happens to be on the schedule.
Yep. And Sunday, while it's shorter, it has the Omegathon finale, the closing ceremony of PAX, and shit's not that crowded. You can see all the stuff you want to see.
I think Thursday is really the strongest day. I don't know why it's not sold out. Anyway,
I think it's because most people want to go to PAX for the whole weekend.
I think it's because you got Expo Hall people and then you got local people.
Also, a lot of people can't take days off work for cons.
That's true.
Look at MagFest. People buy a 4-day badge. They only show up Saturday, Sunday, and Friday night.
Point is, we're doing a panel there. It's not
Sunday, April 8th.
It's not at a good time.
Sunday, April 8th, 10:30 a.m. The 40 tabletop games you must play.
We did a time, but a good panel.
The thing is, we did a trial run of this panel that we kind of threw together at the last second at MagFest. And not only did it completely fill the room, but I really liked it.
Right, so the thing with this panel is it's a clickbait title. You think it has clickbait content, just like a BuzzFeed list of best board games. But actually, as GeekNights does, we bait and switch. And what actually we do is we go down the list of games, but what we're actually doing is exploring like 40 concepts of games or mechanics and discussing those. Right, and that is, so you can get a wide view of the varied ways in which board games work.
Yep. So we'll be there. It's going to be awesome. The panel will be good. Probably be on YouTube at some point.
And you won't have to play 4D board games to find out. We played them for you.
Because frankly, you don't want to play all those games. Some of those games aren't even that good, or we don't even like them.
No.
But they illustrate an important point.
Yes.
And I'm changing the list. I thought we'd...
There's no reason not to change it every time.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, so easy.
Especially because I made that list over the course of an hour, like at MagFest, like trying to make the panel be ready.
Yep.
So,
all right, the last thing is there's a lot of PC games right now. It's PC game season.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure to go to my YouTube, which is just my username, or Twitch, which is also just my username, or Rims, and we've got lots of streaming going on when we're not GeekNights in. So if you're really bored... you can watch me get mad at a poorly designed game or the design flaws of an otherwise good game.
Well, there's a debate when we do a Tuesday show between what is a design flaw versus what is the difference between a game aimed at player mastery versus a game aimed at player exploration of mechanics, which is a constant struggle for us because the latter is a type of game that we personally tend not to like.
If you want to explore, make a Metroidvania.
Yeah, but like this board
game... So I can actually be exploring the map, not the rules.
Like Spirit Island is a board game that is more exploratory than mastery-focused.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's it. That's a Tuesday thing.
I played it once and I don't remember that much.
Well, we the whole point of ReviewCon is we're going to do a show on it.
So you waited too long.
I remember specific details about turn I took in that game. Like, things I did in that game that happened. How did you forget so much so quickly?
Because I didn't put it in my brain. It's not that important.
It's the game where the white people are coming and ruining the island.
I know that.
Yeah, yeah. And they got their little houses and we're trying to burn them down.
I remember the generalness, but I don't remember the details.
You don't remember the powers and like the... Anyway.
No, I can't remember a single power.
Okay. Name anyone Odysseus had sex with.
Oh, Seriously the Witch?
Okay.
Did
he? Yeah, I think
bros
he did.
into pigs?
Yeah. What about not Calypso?
His actual wife, which probably happened.
What's her name?
Penelope.
Yeah. All right.
Those are historic figures.
Remember specific details from the Odyssey
that I haven't read yet. I read the pop-up book recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the pop-up book. Oh, that did it. So
I knew that was anyway.
The main bit. The reason we're doing...
Who's the main character of the Odyssey? Could it be
Telemachus?
Odyssey. It's like...
Athena?
Yeah.
Polyphemus?
It's not like a trick question where the,
I mean...
I don't remember the characters' names from 5th season that we just read.
I actually forgot most of them, too. The hottest pirate captain to ever be in a media.
Yeah, but I don't know his name.
I forgot his name.
Okay.
All I know is that he is the most attractive character I think I've ever encountered in written literature.
I agree.
Yeah. So, summer camp. I reminded ourselves repeatedly, we're going to do a show on Capture the Flag, but that's a Tuesday show.
Mm-hmm.
But on a Thursday, there's a whole separate topic around that of camp, like summer camp, band camp.
Well, because the place that played the most Capture the Flag was camp. So
Yep.
that it folds right in.
But because as someone who grew up in the Midwest, summer camp, as Scott envisions it, as a lot of kids who lived in New York State and Connecticut and New Jersey and possibly Massachusetts envision it, is not that common in much of the rest of the country.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when I was a kid. I thought, everyone went to camp? But apparently that's not... I don't know what a lot of the other kids, in my local school in Connecticut, I don't know what they did in the summer. Because, in the summer, I'd go to camp, and I wouldn't see any of them ever.
Yep. And meanwhile,
that's what were they doing?
Growing up in the Midwest, I never went to summer camp.
Ask them.
I never went to summer camp ever. That was the thing that, my mom asked once, you want to go to a summer camp? And I was like, why the fuck would I want to leave all my video games and all my friends behind to hang out with a bunch of kids I don't know far away from home? Because our neighborhood just, the things Scott described doing at summer camp are things we just did every night in the neighborhood.
You don't have hundreds of kids in the neighborhood.
We did.
Okay.
Because I lived in a dense suburb.
But
But
cars driving through the neighborhood.
yeah, and there was woods next to the neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't have expensive equipment and stuff in the neighborhood.
Like what? We just take our
a lake full of boats.
Lake full of There were lakes full of boats fucking everywhere. I lived in Michigan.
You could just walk right up and boat just whenever the fuck you want.
Dude, yeah, go to Anchor Bay and just get in a boat.
Did you have to drive there?
Bike there.
I'm just saying,
as a
summer
kid,
camp, you wake up and walk and just, you get arts and crafts tent. You make a model rocket, play D&D.
Yeah, we all just made model rockets and just went to the school and launched them on our own.
Food. Just archeries, all the shit just going down.
If we wanted to do archery, we went to the YMCA and just did archery.
They just free archery at the YMCA?
Yeah, what do you think the YMCA is?
Just free?
You pay a trivial membership. It's the cost of the YMCA is basically zero.
Summer camp is where it's at.
But so as a kid, and from my perspective, the only kids I ever knew of who went to something that I would call summer camp were I can
fictional
classify
characters on TV.
I can classify them as such. Kids on shows and TV shows like Salute Your Shorts or movies had summer camp, which always vaguely confused me. The Addams Family one, because I'd never done that kind of thing.
So what did you think when you saw that in a movie? What the fuck, Camp Krusty? You watched that and what the fuck is going on?
So the kinds of kids I thought went to summer camp when I was a kid were poor kids.
No, rich kids go.
Because a lot of the summer camps I knew of
poor kids can't afford it.
Were specific to poor families and were subsidized, and they were kids who lived in Detroit would come upstate in Michigan and go to a special camp to experience that because they didn't get it living in the city, and there's reasons why the state was subsidizing them to go check this out.
Well, that is part of what camp is city people would send their kids out into the woods during the summer, right? That's part of what it's about.
The second class was all the upper middle class kids. Their families sent them to these really expensive fancy camps way far away, even in other states.
Mm-hmm.
And
I went to other states.
But the only kids who did that were either the middle class kids who didn't have any friends in the neighborhood. The kids that no one was friends with would go off on their own to summer camp, or the upper middle class kids that none of us ever interacted with and didn't even go to our schools because I went to the private schools.
Right. So the camps vary a lot economically speaking, right? So you had, and I've actually been to a wide variety of camps economically speaking, right? So that, it's not like we're loaded with mad monies. Even when I went to the more expensive camps, they would only send me for 4 out of the 8 weeks total because it cost twice as much to go for 8 weeks, and it costs a lot, thousands and thousands.
See, immediately all I can think is I'm going to lose 4 weeks of my idle summertime of playing video games.
No, you're kidding? It was way better than what you could do at home.
I don't get, based on what I did at home as a kid in the summer, I don't feel like that's true.
Anyway, so you could, there's summer camps arranged from, like, they got day camps. So there were a few years where I just went to, like, this day camp where the school bus would come and get me at my house, just like it was school, take me to one of the other local schools, not the one I went to, but a different one, right? And then there was a camp there, and you could just, instead of going to school, you just did whatever the fuck you wanted. So usually what I would do most of the time, all I really remember doing is get there, playing basketball for half the day, eating lunch, then go into a room full of Apple IIs and playing Oregon Trail or doing some logo programming for the other half of the day. But then it would only be like not even like 1, and I go home. And it was like, all right. So that was like the lowest level of inexpensive.
See, so I
camp.
went to a bunch of camps like that, but those kinds of camps were like, I went to a thing called Starbase, which was run...
cheapo space camp?
Yeah, it was basically... So it was really... In retrospect, it was really more like young age military officer recruiting.
Okay.
But because it was run, it's at the Air National Guard base. I grew up next to an Air National Guard base, so like... We'd go there all the time and like fuck around with F-16s and like play in the simulator, and like F-16s would literally fly over our houses all the time, making noise and trouble.
That sounds healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. But as one of the things that Selfridge Air National Guard base did is they ran this program called Starbase, which was basically all the smart kids from the local schools would get invited, and it'd be like a 2 or 3 week thing where we'd go every day, come home every night. That wasn't like a sleepaway thing. And we'd do exercises like, you're going to learn how to do aeronautical navigation. You're going to learn how to like plan a travel mission. Though in retrospect, I realized that the materials they were using, like this is my adult brain looking back, they taught us what literally World War II bomber navigators did to like navigate bombing runs.
Okay.
But our runs were framed as, we're going to drop this package off to these people in this city. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like thinking back on what we were taught to do in that camp, kind of weird and fucked up. But at the same time, like, we learned a lot of technical skills about aeronautical navigation and space, and it was like mini space camp coupled with military stuff. But they changed it later, and actually they specifically made it only poor kids from the city could go to it, and none of us in the local town could go anymore.
Anyway, so the other kind of camp, the next level up camp-wise, which I've been to all these levels of camp, right? As counselor and also as camper.
Which I want to note in the chat, someone said, and I quote, "I've never heard such an American thing in this podcast."
Right, yeah. I guess I was wondering about, like, do other countries have... I didn't feel like other countries had this, right? I feel like camp...
So the Wikipedia article implies that, yeah, this is a very American thing.
And it's also a very Native American...
appropriative.
Yes, it's like... They're like
Camp Anawana.
Right, the nerd camp I went to was Camp Watonka. There was not a single Native American there, right? Yet it was very Native American themed. Very.
Oh, quote from the Wikipedia. United Kingdom. There's a whole section on the United Kingdom for camps. Quote, "Summer camps are not a main part of childhood in the United Kingdom."
Okay. I think it's an American thing. Anyway.
I still think it's like a mostly like Northeastern American thing.
Maybe. But I mean, Salute Your Shorts was screened all over, right?
Yeah, and
it's in popular culture across the whole country.
So like summer camp was a thing I knew about, but it wasn't a thing I would do, and the kids I knew who did it were always the weird outliers.
Anyway, so the next level up was like the day camp. That's where you go away in the morning and then you come back home, right?
So my brother did a lot of that, and I did a lot of that, but it was all under the purview of like Cub Scouts. But it wasn't its own thing.
Well, some of those, I've been to a few day camps, right? Expensive ones and cheap ones, and they vary in levels of quality. And right, some of them are there as just like, I have kids and I work. I'm a working parent. I can't leave the kids at home alone all day. I will send them to a day camp. It's right for the day in the summer, and then pick them up. And then some of them are actually pretty fancy, even though they're day camps. They just don't let you sleep there. and it's slightly cheaper than the sleepaway camp.
Yeah.
Right? But they're just as fancy, or perhaps sometimes even more fancy, because the money that they're not spending on like camping, like cabins and food, they're spending on like improving their sport fields and improving their activities, right? So like there are a lot of day camps where like the shit is actually way fancier than sleepaway camps will have, because they're charging about the same, but they're budgeting differently. And then you got the sleepaway camps, which again range in quality based on how expensive they are. And at the lower levels, you've got like sleepaway camp and rusty shacks barely meeting the barely basically passing inspection and getting it
That's
shut
what
down.
band camp was like. One of the cabins
like Camp Krusty.
One of the cabins next to where I was staying for band camp one year that no one was in just fucking collapsed in the middle of the night.
Right. And then at the high end, you've got luxury camp, which is like the cabins are palaces and the food is incredible. And basically each kid wakes up in the morning and just does whatever activity they want all fucking day. And it's just like, living in a woodsy paradise commune place for 8 weeks.
No. See, it's interesting because the only
tennis courts,
like when I went
powerboats,
when I went
paintball.
on camps, it was usually literal camping, which is kind of orthogonal to this.
Yeah, usually literal camping is like a component of sleepaway camp where like, yeah, you're living in this cabin in a bed most of the time. But then you'll be like, oh, this week we're going to go on a hike and camp, or this week, this weekend we'll go do this activity. And, we did stuff like go to amusement parks or, all kinds of stuff.
But the only real camp I did that was sleepaway and in cabins and the kind of thing was band camp, which in the Midwest, like a lot of people went to because marching bands were real big there, and that was the thing. So there were a lot of dedicated, like summer camp looking places that were actually just for band camp. So like every band would send their band there for like 2 or 4 weeks, and imagine a summer camp like you're thinking of, but it has like 12 football fields, like all over the place, and like band shells, and otherwise the food is awful and the cheapest possible gruel you can imagine. The facilities are just like dilapidated garbage, like pooping in a hole.
I've had some pooping in a hole.
Yeah, but band camp was also hyper structured and very military. Like literally some senior plays reveille on a bugle at dawn.
We had reveille blow on the PA system every morning.
Oh, ours was a real trumpet or a bugle, and you had to get up at dawn for inspection, eat breakfast, and then immediately to the field for drills. And we literally just worked all day until the sun went down. We'd eat the gruel dinner, and then we'd have like 2 hours of you can do whatever you want time. Meaning we'd play like Bond in the cabin because
GoldenEye.
Yeah. And then we'd have dinner and a dance. Every night they'd have like this dance party, which I wanted nothing to do with. And then the next morning at like 6 a.m., we'd wake up and do the whole thing again. And it was just a grueling, difficult slog that left everyone physically and mentally exhausted by the end of it.
See, summer camp, if you're a kid that goes to summer camp, it's basically either heaven or hell. There's not really a lot of in between, right? So if some kids go there and like they're homesick, or like they're just like, they're socially awkward.
Oh, dude, when I was in high school and I went to Space Academy, which is like the older kids' version of Space Camp, holy shit, did most of the kids who went to that like freak out and cry and like couldn't deal with being away from home.
And so or they don't get along, or they're, bullying victims, because I mean it's a place with a bunch of kids bullied, right?
Yeah.
If you're one of those kids, then summer camp is like hell. It's the worst thing ever. Don't send me there again, right? But if you go there and you make friends and you enjoy the activities and you like doing the things that are at summer camp, it's heaven on earth. It's like you can ignore society. There's no fucking grades. You're basically cut off from the awful world, right? You have this awesome culture of everyone getting along kumbaya for 8 weeks. And you say, oh my God, everything's free. You don't got to worry about fucking money, right? Everyone's just having a good time 24/7. You don't get to give a shit. And it's the best. And if I could go live in summer camp, I totally would, but you can't. Right? So it's like that sort of thing. And as someone who has counseled and been to summer camp many times, I've experienced both the heavens and also the hells equally in different numbers. Those I saw here's I guess I can't go forever, which I could.
Yep.
Right. So the things that Geek Nights listeners will find relevant, right? One year I went to a day camp. This is the second time I had been to this particular day camp. The previous time was like a couple years ago. And I only kind of got along with the kids who were at this camp who were my age, right? They weren't really the nerdiest,
Yep.
right? So I go to this camp. It's the first day there. It's the second time I've ever been to it. But the camp, and here's the thing that's about these camps. When they're 8 weeks, if you're only going to go for 4 weeks, you better go for the first 4 weeks. Don't go for the second 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah, because you're the new kid.
You're the new kid. So I was the new kid, even though I had been there 2 years ago, whatever. And I show up, and they've already got like a whole, the culture has already been established. And I'm sort of like, man,
Yeah,
right?
you got to be there first to establish the culture.
Exactly. So like I'm sort of an outsider, outcast person who's just appeared on this first day, right? But, that's just the people that are like in my cabin. So it's like my day was meh with them, right? But what was actually a problem, it was a day camp. And on the bus to go there was this one kid who was harassing, like, he wasn't like targeting me. He was targeting everyone on that motherfucking bus.
It's like a Nelson Muntz.
He was like, this kid was the Nelsonest Nelson that ever Nelsoned, right? So bad, right? And then we were basically waiting for the bus to go home, right? I attempted to strangle this kid to death.
Oh.
People were cheering me on.
Yeah.
I did not succeed.
Oh.
He was, I guess, a little bit larger than me. My friend was like, my friend who was with me at the camp, he was just a year younger than me, so he wasn't like in my cabin or anything, but he rode the bus with me because we live close to each other. Well, I think his comment was, yeah, that kid deserved it. But yeah, I don't know if I got kicked out of the camp or quit, but I only went to the camp for 1 day that year.
Yeah.
I didn't go back. And my mom probably got our money back, I imagine, because that's how she is.
See, it's interesting because like the band camp dynamic, because it's so structured, there really weren't concerns like that, because even if there was a piece of shit kid who wanted to bully everyone, you're literally busy the entire time and being judged and graded the entire time.
Yeah, people are there just to have fun, so someone ruining the fun is no good. And then, so here's the other thing Geek Nights listeners will care about, is there's a camp I went to 2 times, a sleepaway camp. It's in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it exists. I think it still exists. It's a nerd camp called Camp Watonka, and it is science camp specifically. It was also only boys, but I think there was another camp that was only girls that was like the sister camp. It's Watonka, right? I don't know if you can find it. Anyway, but this camp was the nerdiest camp. So here's things that happened at this camp that made it the greatest, right? So first of all, right, imagine you have to choose you choose activities. So like you have to choose 2 activities every 2 weeks, right? So if you're there for 8 weeks, you're doing all right. You can choose the same ones again. But those are like supposedly there's like a short list. Those are the educational sciences. And then when you're not scheduled to be at a science, you can do any of the activities that they announce on the loudspeaker, right? But so the sciences, for example, when I chose chemistry, we threw sodium in the lake and had a uranium compound. It wasn't pure uranium. It was like uranium something-eyed, and pointed a Geiger counter at it, right? It's like, ooh, and heard it go click, click, click. Ooh, right? When I chose, what else did I choose? Oh, wait, I chose video, and we made a zombie movie that was awful on VHS camcorders.
All right.
I chose, I can't even remember what the hell I chose.
Yeah, so in Starbase, I chose fighter jet, and I got to, because those are the kind of things we got to choose, and I literally got to spend like a couple hours over the course of the summer, all told, in the actual military F-16 simulator that they use for training, and I got the like 101 training in how to fly an F-16. I never successfully fucking landed that thing. I crashed every time.
I chose computer science twice. I learned HTML with Netscape Navigator Gold on Apple Macintosh, like LC2s or whatever. One of them was better. It could switch to DOS when you pressed Apple Enter, and they played Marathon on it.
Oh, so it's funny because
we also played a lot of SimCity 2000.
Before I had a computer, like I
learned C. I made a Hangman in C.
In that
Apple
era,
LC2.
I think this is part of the area differences. Like in the Midwest, at least where I was, the local middle school all summer twice a week had a computer club, and you could just go in and use the computers, and that, we did that. I'd go into the school, every Tuesday.
We had an external hard drive with all the games on it, and it was a network, so everyone was loading up the games onto their Macs from this one hard drive, and the British guy who was the visiting, counselor, right? Because a lot of camp counselors are from foreign countries. They get, temporary summer visas for work.
Yeah,
and
Wildwood.
They're a camp counselor, easy job for 8 weeks. You get your room and board. You visit the U.S. for basically almost nothing. It's a great deal. If you are in a foreign country and want to come to the U.S. for a summer, that is actually still a great deal you can do.
Probably way better than working the boardwalk of the Jersey Shore.
Super great. I highly recommend it. But anyway, he was I just always remember. Oh, he's Australian, or was it New Zealand? He definitely was Australia or New Zealand. But I remember it was definitely not UK guy, because I remember him teaching us how to throw a football rugby style, and we couldn't catch it when he threw it. It was too hard.
If you can't place the accent, it could have been South Africa.
But no, it was definitely New Zealand or Australia. But I remember him saying, this hard, he was so proud of the hard drive that they had.
Yeah.
This hard drive is 1 gigabyte. It was a 1 gigabyte external magnetic spinning disc that was plugged into the server Mac with a SCSI cable.
Oh my God.
It was beautiful. It had SimCity 2000 and everyone's save games on it. It was I
remember the first time someone said they copied a CD to their hard drive, and I called bullshit.
Yeah, right.
I was like, there's no hard drive that big.
We didn't have a CD-ROM there. Anyway, other things that happened at the summer camp, they would always, after lunch, they would always go to the cabin and have quiet time, and you're supposed to write a letter. We would play D&D 2nd Edition.
Yeah.
Always after dinner, at no other time of the day did they offer this activity on the loudspeaker, but after dinner, there was guaranteed to be adventure games behind the food at the picnic tables.
Ooh.
Adventure games meant one of the following. Magic the Gathering with the cards you brought to camp.
Yep.
Because not like you could get more unless someone mailed you some. Which
I brought my magic cards to most of the camp-like things I did.
They would mail us magic cards. I'd be like, Mom, mail more magic cards. Hurry up, right? Or more D&D, or BattleTech. Those are pretty much the adventure games that would happen after dinner every single fucking
Every
night.
one of those is truly an adventure.
Yes. And the other amazing things that would happen at camp, because you basically had this humongous area with every sport and lake and pool and roller hockey and dodgeball and basketball and everything that you could possibly imagine, is when there were camp-wide activities, right? They would always be epic, and I'll talk about this more in the Capture the Flag episode.
Yep, all this is a prelude to get it out of our system.
But on the 4th of July, there was no schedule. There was only one thing on the schedule, and that was Revolution. Everyone at the whole camp plays Capture the Flag in the woods all fucking day. Go. The end. Until it's dark. Right? Shit like that goes down there, and that does not happen in your neighborhood.
Capture the Flag, Ghost in the Grave, all those kinds of games.
We played games like Bombardier, which would take me a while to explain, but it used the entire terrain of the camp.
Yep.
It involved trivia and also counselors jumping out at you, swinging socks full of flour, trying to whack you with them.
Yeah, we'll save all that, but think of all of this, because I think we've wrapped up this show, as the prelude to the next Tuesday episode of Geek Nights, which is going to be about Capture the Flag.
Come to the forum where we're going to have there's a thread for every episode in the forum, and discuss your summer camp experiences and such.
All right, I think that had been a good show. All right.
Talk about arts and crafts. I can keep talking.
Oh, there's a ton of people were chatting the whole time, too.
I could do a podcast about camp.
Yeah.
If I had enough money, I could just open camp and then live there.
All right. Well, I think we're done. See you guys on the flip side.